Hello, uglies.
Hello, uglies.
Hello, uglies.
If you're gonna do it sexy like the Boulets. Hello, uglies.
Hello, uglies.
That's actually how I opened up the Dragula podcast.
Love it.
I went, "Hello, uglies, and welcome to a special recap of," and then I just did my whole thing.
Dragula. Side note: if you're not watching Dragula, the seasons were.
Are you not doing drag? Oh, damn! That's not what you were going for.
Damn it! And you're not doing drag if you're not watching Dragula.
Yeah, I didn't watch this week's yet.
Ooh, girl, it's good. It's good. Okay, but welcome everyone. This is Hot Mess Moments, your not Dragula podcast.
Wait, what? What do we even cover here?
Oh my God. My name is Dylan Zahner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan, and Lost is my favorite show, but I've never seen The Nanny before.
And I'm Beth Dixon, also known as Augusta Window 11, and The Nanny is my all-time favorite show, but I've never seen Lost before, and I am so excited to be joined again with Dylan to talk about his favorite show, which is Lost. We're doing season 2, episode 9.
Yeah.
And, what did Kate or what Kate did? I thought it was what did Kate do?
What did Kate Dunn did?
What done did Kate do, Don?
How did Kate do done did?
She done did do. The do did
what?
done.
She did done. Could you imagine if that was the fucking title? That's so stupid. What did Kate do? Don did.
See, now I'm just hearing RuPaul do. She already done had hers. She done already done had hers. Yeah.
She already done did hers.
The best part is you and I can't even say it because we keep going did like actually we sound a little bit like the Swedish chef.
It just sounds like we're as like it's gonna start. Our comedy is gonna start just degenerating to just sounds. We're like
well, look no further than the clip that I posted today. From 2 days ago. Oh my goodness.
Oh, my cheeks hurt. Okay.
We're not even 3 minutes in and our cheeks hurt.
So this episode in particular is about what Kate did, and we're gonna get into like the intricate decals, the intricate decals,
the window decals that are in the hatch. They're really intricate.
So cute. They so decorate for the holidays.
They had like a little swan.
Oh my God!
A little hat.
A little hatch. Little Boone's little hatch.
Can we refer to the hatch now as the boonie hole for no reason?
That's the boonie hole. I'm here for it. It's the boonie hole. So we are covering that episode of Lost. But before we get into that, how you doing, girl? What did you do?
Well. I have thankfully, so my weeks have been really, really busy recently. But this week I've had it's like the car just got slammed on the brakes. Oof. And so I have some ability to like take a breath for the last couple of days. So all I had to do today, well, besides like just normal email and that kind of thing, was I had to go meet one of my students in Murray Hill, which is a neighborhood in New York. And I'm like really proud of my students. Like they're killing it. And I'm hearing all about their success. I have one student who has landed a really prestigious internship at Morgan Stanley for the summer. I have another student who was accepted into a prestigious grad program in the Netherlands.
Oh my God.
I have another student who has been trying to figure out if she wants to go to law school or not. And after talking to a whole bunch of people that I got her in contact with, she now has like a better sense of what she wants to do afterwards. So like, I'm so proud.
That's amazing.
I'm just proud. So listening to all of my students like use me for resources. And I had another student who was offered a job at the internship she's doing right now. They love her so much because she's like turned the organization around that they're basically like, would you have a job here? And she's like, yeah, I graduate next month, so let's do it. So like,
that's so crazy. You know what? Not to make this about me, but make this about me for a second. That reminds me of this one time I got this really prestigious internship that when I was in public health. See, you thought it was going to be a bit, but it was real. When I got this I thought you were really about to smile as if I was going to be like, when I got this internship being a dumb bitch.
No, that wasn't an internship. That was a paid position.
Oh, girl. And I'm still making the dividends.
That's right.
So the internship that I was a part of, oh my God, I'm really blanking on the name of it, but it was amazing. I got to fly all across the United States. I flew to Washington, D.C. I flew to Atlanta to do some stuff. I got to go to the CDC. I got to learn a lot. And then eventually my station where I was stationed for 3 months was in South Dakota. Ooh. And so I worked for the government, specifically the public health department in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for, I want to say like 3 months. Wow. And when I was there, I learned the Sioux Falls, South Dakota public health department is a hot mess. It was back in the day. I don't know if it still is now.
Wow. So that shocks me so much.
It was a mess. So mind you, I'm an intern and their HIV prevention program is basically non-existent. And so I'm at this organization for about a month and a half to 2 months. And one of the higher ups is like, hey, can you like build out what our HIV prevention program will look like? And I go to the person who is like my contact and I tell them, I'm not going to do this because I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid to do this. And so apparently there was like this huge kerfuffle because what I had introduced into like my idea for the program, they really liked. They really liked a lot of stuff. I was basically like adopting a lot of what I had learned from Omaha, and I was like, you should do this in Sioux Falls, but I had to leave. And so I left, and to this day, I have no idea if they ever used my idea for the HIV prevention program, but it was really cool to go back to my mentor in Omaha and be like, so I kind of did that shit in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
You know, I'm a big proponent of internships because that's literally what most of my job is to do, is to place students in internships. But I'm a huge proponent of two things. One, internships at the very least should provide stipends for travel and lunch.
Yes.
And if you can't do that, they need to be paid. It's paid. Well, you should be paid. I honestly think that.
I was paid. I should stipulate I was paid, but it was like a very minimal amount of money.
Right. Internships should not be they should be two things. One, they need to be educational with like actual projects that you were working on to be a part of the team on a temporary basis. Like that is literally what it's designed for, right? So if you as an internship host don't have the capacity to invest in the student or intern, whoever it is, to teach them more about the industry, your organization, the job itself, that kind of thing, then you're just getting labor out of them. Should be a learning experience. The whole point, it's like an apprenticeship. It's a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
And I have noticed that the places that are more willing to pay or provide a stipend or something like that are more likely to have way better learning opportunities because they're investing money in the students. So they want to make sure they're getting a dividend out of it, right? They want to make sure that they are really getting good quality work out of them. And you don't do that without investing in them. So that is where I stand on that. So,
oh my God,
I feel so good for you. I did an internship in my admissions office at my university in between my junior and senior summers. And I got to live in the townhouses on the campus. It was fun. And I'll never forget, I did a project that was all kind of stats based, which I'm no statistician, but it was basically just looking at, we had part-time interviewers. So those whose job it was to interview students, pretty much that's all they had to do in admissions. And then we had admissions counselors who were normally the ones who were actively going out and traveling. They're the ones who visit the high schools and do college fairs. They're the ones who make decisions on applications, that kind of thing. But they also interview people. But what we found is I wanted to see who's more efficient at the yield process. The person who has a little bit more authority, but maybe didn't have as many interviews, or the people who are seasoned interviewers and are getting most of the face time with the students. And lo and behold, the part-time interviewers had a better yield rate than the admissions counselors. So that informed how we were going to, not we, we're going to change up some of the scheduling because we feel like admissions counselors are the ones who are supposed to have that bond with the students. So they were able to make some changes on the structure based off of a project I did. That's the kind of shit you should be doing in an internship.
That's really cool. Yeah. I always say that I learned more from my internship living in a house with 12 other people. It was this massive like frat house. But the cool part about it is first off, really cool. Out of like the 60 plus people they picked for the program, I was the only white guy. Everyone else, like it was like largely a diversity effort.
That's amazing.
And there was not a single sorry. Sorry. I'm dying. Just like Shannon. And
like you had a hairball for a second.
It kind of felt like it. It was gross. And so in this program, there was not a single straight white guy, which was cool. And then in the house that I lived in, I lived with a lot of Native Americans from reservations. I lived with people who were international, people who came from a wide array of different interests and jobs that they wanted to do in the public health industry. It was so enlightening. It was so cool. So
yeah,
I learned more living in that house than I ever did at my internship. Don't recommend, I learned more also when I traveled and I was like in these other states or cities. So
and that's why I like the program I do, is because we're taking students from rural America and putting them into one of the most diverse locations in the world, and then saying, go work while you're here. Yeah. So it's like they get a whole mixture of all of those different kinds of things, which is cool.
Fun fact, that house at that internship is what jump-started my YouTube career, because we made videos. So such a tangent. In that house, we wanted, they had a lot of other like internships that would like cycle through this house. And so it was kind of customary for people to take a group photo and leave it in the house. But people had not done that for a few years. We could tell that there was like gaps in between, but we knew that people had lived there in those gaps. And some of these photos were really old and the basement was really creepy. So what we wanted to do was film a video and make it look like it was haunted and like just film creepy stuff in the house and leave the tape in the house or leave the DVD in the house. And that way the next group that came in would find this DVD. We'd probably write something silly on it. They'd play it, and it would just be creepy shit that happens in the house.
Oh my God. You probably learned more in that process than you did in internship as well.
Yeah. We ended up not doing that because we clearly weren't too unhinged. And instead it jump started because we just made silly videos. And then eventually they were like, you should do YouTube.
Instead, you decided to make videos talking about not using water.
Yeah. Turn down your water. If you haven't seen that video of mine, don't. I've just saved you. But let's get into this episode.
Speaking of internships and apprenticeships, we have that orientation video that pops again.
Ooh, so we can. That's a good one right there.
Like that transition?
So here we go. We're going to be covering Lost, Season 2, Episode 9, What Kate Did.
What she done, did, do not, do, done, did, do, did.
Do-wah, dee, da, dum, diddy, do. So stupid.
I wrote that song.
I fucking hate you. I hate you so much, Beth. I just need to let you know I hate you. Oh shit.
Oh man, you know what I don't like about Invisalign is that every time I laugh, because it's not like your normal teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay moisturized, so I'll laugh and like my lips will come back here and then they'll get caught on it and then I'm like
they can't see it on video, but you look like a fucking idiot.
Imagine if I didn't have a lip like this.
Welcome to me, baby. I live that life every day.
I actually really like my lips, though.
Yeah, you have good lips.
Thank you.
Okay, so this episode,
you know who also has good lips?
Jack?
Apparently. I don't know. But apparently Kate saw something in that moment.
I don't know. We can talk about that more in depth, but I want to know what your thoughts on this episode were, what your rating of this episode is. While you're talking, I'm also going to be looking up some of my notes.
Okay. So overall, I think this is a really good episode. I am going to give it like a 9 out of 10 because there were still moments in it that I thought just kind of came out of nowhere and didn't seem to make sense. And I don't know. I think that sometimes lost writers and directors and such try to be so artistic that they kind of lose the point of what they're trying to do. And I think that there were a few moments of that happened. So one is like this random kiss between Kate and Jack. Another is when Jack just randomly decides to be 100% misogynistic at the end. Like, it was just like, what are you doing?
It's so strange.
It's just like there's just so many things happening there. But I did like this episode a lot. I think that there's some really interesting lore. I have like what I feel is like more proof that my theory of this kind of like waiting place that they have to work through things is like legit. So I really did think this was cool. I love when we get to see a little bit of Kate's background because she's honestly been somewhat of a non-entity this entire season. So it was kind of cool to see her in the past and the present. But what I don't like is the present is so focused on relationships with her. And like her past wasn't. And like that's something that just really bothers me is I think that she would be such a cool character in the present time if she wasn't so hung up on I like Sawyer, but I like Jack and I'm this and I'm just like, oh my God, like there's so much more to you as a character. And I want to get into that in the present day, but it really sucks because like you don't seem to have much of a backbone in the present day. So, but once again, it was kind of cool to see her in the past. I do like, there's a line when she's talking to her dad in one of the memories, which we'll get into more details as I go through all this, but she was like, why didn't you kill him? And he's like, well, cause I'm not murderous. And I'm thinking in my head, like, yeah, Kate, you could call the cops. You could.
There's a lot you could have done, girl.
You could have gone for therapy. You could have just left. If you, at the end of the day, if your mom is, and this goes for all domestic violence victims and such, they have to be the ones to break the cycle, right? And it's a moment of empowerment. Now, obviously, if there are things that are threatening their lives, like yes, step in and do something, but don't stick around. You have to be able to like separate yourself from situations like that too.
Yeah. And we learn in her flashbacks that the reason Kate did what she did actually had nothing to do with her mother or anything. It's because she is actually biologically related to is it Wayne? Was
Walt.
That his name? Walt.
No, Wayne. I was thinking of the little boy.
Yeah, Wayne.
Wayne.
She's related to Walt, and she's related to Wayne.
She's fucking everybody.
So Wayne is this like gross character that we learn in the flashbacks, but because she's related to Wayne, I don't know why Kate doesn't put two and two together. Killing him isn't going to make you not biologically related to Wayne. It just is going to make you have to run from the cops.
If that had been the case, no, I'm just kidding. That is a huge joke.
No, she hates her father.
I've murdered before, yes. But I'd be like the worst murderer of all. I would cry.
Really would be.
I would cry like before, during, and after, and then immediately be like, I did it.
Oh my God.
I would cry like Michelle Rodriguez.
The terrible cry acting. Yeah, so I want to talk about, before we get into like our recap of everything, how hot it is that Sun and Jin clearly fucked here.
Okay,
it's
not only did they clearly fuck, everyone's proud of them. Like,
he's like, he
Hurley's
hit
just
it.
Hurley
He
is
hit
like,
it.
he walks out, he gives them the like, yeah, you all fucked kind of look. And then he gives them a thumbs up. And I'm like, listen, I don't think it would take much for Hurley to give you a thumbs up in life.
That's true.
But they went at it. And here's the thing too, like,
before your point, you can clearly tell also because of Jin's post nut clarity, his skin is clear. His like sun's looking, she's shining.
You can tell they both came. Like, this wasn't a situation where, like, you know, I'm going to say something that I have appreciated for years now. I like when, because, you know, orgasm inequity is like a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
So often within straight, bi, whatever couples, but couples of opposite body parts, we'll put it that way. The person with a penis is more likely to get off than the person with a vagina. And I love that people recently have been going, can we stop saying, you know, he fucked her when he's the only one that came? So clearly she fucked him. like I love that so much. He's like, oh, did she come? No, sounds like she fucked you then. That sounds
like she got fucked in the sense of she didn't get a fuck.
Exactly. She got fucked by fucking you. There you go. But anyway, but you could tell this was a mutually beneficial interaction. My God.
I was like, can I be son?
I mean,
because he looks so hot.
He walked out of that tent, and so I do know that Tyler Lyons, a very avid fan of Jin, has told me this is a great episode if you like Jin, and I like that Jin is in the episode for not even 10 seconds, but just has his shirt off.
Like,
I mean, I got it. I literally, as soon as he walked out, I like that the camera does technically have his whole body like in frame.
Yeah.
But it even knows. It was like, there's his face. Okay, back down. There's his face. Okay, back down. You want to just see the abs. Let's look at the
those
pecs.
Body, yada, yada.
It was so funny.
I just had to bring that up. I thought it was great. It also shows that Sun and Jin's relationship repaired, apparently. Like that distance did repair. It's
almost like the island was designed as a test to make them work through the things that kept them apart and made them bad people.
Maybe. You never know.
Wow.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see if Beth's 100% right.
As we fucking know she is.
Okay, so let's get into this episode. So the main plot here, I want to actually cover everything together because I think they all kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So Kate sees this black horse, and I want to know your thoughts on what you think this black horse is. Why does it show up when it does? And this also kind of goes hand in hand with Sawyer saying he loves her, and then like, you killed me, and like all of these things. Yeah. Like, do you think that Wayne possessed Sawyer, or is that like maybe something Sawyer was saying because he was delusional and it had nothing to do with Kate? Or was it like Kate just imagining all of it?
Well, so the he loves her portion was heard by Jack too.
Yeah.
So I think so. Multiple things. I think that this island has proven that the dead will find ways to try to get to the living. We've seen Jack's father fully be like, go through the woods, the whole 9 yards. We've seen a variety of other dead people. I mean, Saeed even says, I saw Walt.
Yeah, he's like, I just saw Walt. Am I crazy?
He doesn't say anything about the fact that Walt was dripping wet and speaking backwards or anything like that, which I feel like context is important here. Which also, what a way for him to basically be like, I think Walt's dead, but say it to Kate. Like, also, I'm going to just call out the writers here. You cannot tell me that Michael just gets back to camp and goes, all right, I guess Walt's just gone now. I'm not even going to say anything about him missing for a lot, like for this whole episode, when all he has done all season long is say, I need to go find my son and run off or whatever. You're not telling me the first thing he does isn't like tell everybody he's going back out into the jungle.
I think we're mistaking the time jump here. It hasn't even been a full day yet, technically. because they arrive towards the end of the night back at the main camp. That's when Sun and Jin fuck. They go off and they fuck. Sawyer is in
the next day
in the hatch. Yeah, it's the next day. So I think Michael is just kind of taking in the new surroundings of the main camp. That's not to say that it's not weird. It is weird, but also it has not been a long jump of time.
No, it hasn't been a long jump of time, but he has literally wasted no time in every other situation.
Yeah.
Every new location he's been to, every time they were talking through the woods, he was still yelling out for Walt. Like, so you're telling me, and like literally it all stopped when he ran to get Ana Lucia all those materials and such. And then he tells Sun, blah, 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 blah. You're telling me he doesn't go grab Locke and Jack immediately and
it was like, they stole my son.
There's an issue out there, but also my Walt is missing. Like, I mean, like this is so out of character for him. So it's really weird for me that he's just kind of like, well, I guess I'm just going to adjust to this hatch life for a day and not say a word about my son to the people I know best on this island. Like, it's so weird.
Well, and it is weird, definitely. But now we kind of get a little bit of a next step in that plot line at the end here, where Michael could potentially be talking to Walt on this computer, especially after that footage that we got on the reel.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we'll kind of get into that,
we don't have to get into it now.
Portion. Yeah. But I do think, I mean, just to close up the Michael and Walt thing, I do think it's an interesting, I don't think this is really Walt. Although if it is, it does fall in line with my theory of like the dead, because maybe he's dead, like the dead reaching out in different ways, right?
Yeah.
So going back to your original question, you kind of asked me a little bit about like the horse and and all those things. So I think the horse is a guardian of some sort, right? So I believe in guardians here in, the plane that we're in, I guess, the realm that we're in.
You mean Earth? No, just kidding.
Well, we don't know if this place is on Earth or not. Very well could be. True. And it's just like maybe in a different plane or whatever. I don't know. But regardless, like I have had multiple times where I like the number one thing I visualize this all the time was that I was driving on a road once in the middle of the night. I was exhausted. I'd been traveling all day and I came around a bend and it was foggy, and there was a deer right there. I was going too fast to be able to really put my brake on and avoid it. And I literally went, shoo, shoo, and somehow missed the entire deer. But it was like, I should like the way I think of this deer, like the deer was literally 5 feet in front of me and was perfectly in front of my car. There's no way that a simple do should have just like avoided the whole deer. Like I should have at least caught it with the angle of the car. And I didn't.
Sorry.
And I've had times where like I was sledding once when I was really young and I was going right towards a tree. And then at the last second, all of a sudden it was just my body went boop and like just avoided it. And there was so I've had multiple times where I truly
superpower.
Yeah, I can't die. No.
Jesus, that's not what I was thinking about. Okay, let's go there.
No, but I truly do believe that something or somebody was looking out for me. And like, because I should have crashed into a tree. Like I should have crashed into that deer.
Yeah. So I just imagine, sorry, you can continue. I just imagine the deer going like, "Whoa, bitch," and just like kind of.
Okay, funny story. So I'm from like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And my brother and I were coming back from this party when I think we were both in college at this point. So we were coming back from this party. Neither of us have been drinking, but my friend lived about 20 minutes out in the country from the town. And so like, it was like the country.
Yeah.
And we came around this corner and it goes up into this hill. And so we climbed the hill and I notice that there are headlights that seem to be coming from the other side of the hill. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to turn off my high beams. Be smart. So I turn off the high beams. This car crusts the hill and then comes down. And as I'm kind of like avoiding the light or whatever, we start to go down the hill the other way. And there was a porcupine right there. And I swear to God, the porcupine did this. I'm sorry, this is not going to be great for the viewers at home. or the listeners, but the viewers are going to benefit for this. I swear to God, my brother and I both talked about this for a long time afterwards. This porcupine, literally, it like time slowed down and went like this.
Oh, like it had its life flash before its eyes.
And I avoided it. I didn't hit it. I don't know how. It's because the car just passed me so I could go right into the other lane.
Oh, you just saved that
and
porcupine.
I didn't hit it at all. But this porcupine literally looked like it was going to go, oh, fuck. Like it was so, my brother literally went, I think he said fuck. Like, it was like, so like he literally
just said
jaw
fuck.
open was like, fuck. So yeah, I understand the
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just that for some reason, also today's been a very bad ADHD day, so I apologize if I've been cutting you off like crazy. But that, like, you started telling that story, and I literally could not stop thinking of this deer going like, "Move! What the fuck, bitch?
What the hell? Move on!"
Like, just like moves all the way.
But going back to the point, I think the horse is some kind of guardian, because the horse like kind of saves her from the marshal, and then the horse also, and we don't know what the time frame is between when the marshal finds her and she commits that crime. So I'm interested to see if we get context and clarity with that later.
I think if I had to guess, what we saw in the flashbacks is clearly the first in the timeline, and then it goes. She escapes from the marshal. Yep. Then she does all of that bank heist crime stuff. And then her lover dies.
Mm-hmm.
And then she somehow makes it. That's what she goes to Australia. And then
before her lover dies, her mother dies.
Oh, that's true. Yep. Her mother does die.
I didn't mean contextually with the other memories. I mean specifically within this memory. I don't know how much time has passed from the time she sets the fire to like the marshal coming after her. And like how much time is like when she goes to see her father and like all those different kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
It's also interesting. First of all, Kate. Why would you go to a public place, give your mother a life insurance policy that you, not life insurance, house insurance policy that you literally, like, that is sus as fuck. Like, it's like no way that, like,
that's why he's like amateur hour, because she's very amateur.
So bad. And then on top of that, like, go in front of not just your mom, but like 5 other people and being like, I did this for you, mom. You didn't see me here tonight. And I'm like, yeah, but maybe those 5 other people did. Like,
that's same with like the army. Like there's like clearly there's got to be cameras. This is like an army recruiter place. It's owned by the government.
It's like the time that the woman at the post office showed me her bra, and all I could think about was, my God, they're going to think I was soliciting a federal worker in the middle of a bank, because on camera, I'm talking to her, and then she just comes around and is like, here's my boobs. And I'm like, what the hell's happening? But all I could think of in that moment was, there's got to be cameras catching this right now. So the fact that Kate doesn't even think that, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I do like the moment where she lets him into the house in the very beginning, Wayne, and then he's going, what smells bad? And she's like, it's probably your breath. And then when the house exploded, I went, oh yeah, that'd be the thing that smelled.
Yeah, it's the gas. Yeah. But Wayne's a sick, gross man. Like, tries to basically sleep with Kate. I don't think he recognizes it's Kate.
I don't think he cares.
But he's a dick. He's an asshole. He's a dicky asshole. And
imagine, did Wayne know that Kate was his daughter biologically?
I like to think that he didn't. And the reason why I don't think he did is because the mom, I believe, did a really good job of hiding it from Kate. So it'd be really weird to tell Wayne but not tell Kate in that situation. Could be a loose
cannon and saying things anytime.
Yeah. So I don't think Wayne knew.
Imagine if Wayne had.
Yeah, that would have been gross. But I think this does give a lot of good context to Kate's character in the sense that because she is such an amateur at how this works. We see that she gets better at it over time as the years go on. She gets better at being a criminal, but she, at the end of the day, I don't think knows what she's doing.
No.
And she's guided by emotion, by a lot of her decisions.
And a black horse.
Yeah, a black horse. It all comes down to a black horse.
And I did like when last week you said, I'm going to give you a hint. Black horse.
Black horse.
And I will say this, that still makes no sense as a clue for this episode.
I just wanted you to think, like, what the fuck did he mean by a black horse?
And you know what? I was 100% right. I just said, there will be a black horse.
And you were correct. There was a black horse.
Yeah.
So I want to also touch on, you had talked about Saeed sharing that story with Kate. And I think it's really cool to start seeing the main characters recognize the weird shit that's happening around them. Finally,
I'm really happy you bring that up, because who's the first person in this episode that does it? Charlie.
Yeah, he does.
They're like, she said, do you think there's horses on this island? He's like, well, there's polar bears.
Yeah.
There's monsters. I haven't seen a horse yet, but it's not fucking shocking. And I'm like, wow, I'm happy it took almost 1.5 seasons for people to finally think through things like this.
Yeah. They're like, it's a Monday. Of course that there's a horse on this island.
Yeah,
of course.
it's black. Oh, okay. It's different.
I saw a white one the other day.
Yeah.
You're not special.
And somebody, so if Sawyer wasn't sick, he'd be like, "I'm a stallion." He'd just be saying stuff like that.
We have to talk about this though. The reason why Kate has such a hard time admitting her emotions for Sawyer is because every time she sees Sawyer, she sees Wayne, because Wayne acted very much like Sawyer, and I think deep down in Kate's mind, she doesn't want to become what her mom was, and where she falls for a gross man. And so I like this layer to Kate's character.
I like it a lot too.
And it kind of explains why she's so wishy-washy between and that's why I think she kisses Jack, because she's like, I need to convince myself that I don't love Sawyer here, and tries everything. But then what's
interesting here is that Jack is the one that hears that Sawyer love profession. Yeah. And I do think that was Wayne. And I do think that in that moment, I think that there was I don't think that Sawyer was with it. I think that he was I don't know if it would be considered possession or not. I do think that it would just
speaking for the dead. Maybe.
Yeah. Like a channeling almost. And I think that because Kate had just left, so her energy was there. I think that kind of summons him, right?
Yeah.
And you also have to imagine that when Kate last left Wayne, he was essentially passed out in a bed, very similar to how Sawyer is right now.
Yeah.
So now she can have bits of closure and taking care of things. I'm sure she has somewhat of a guilt of killing somebody. So I think that there's a lot of all those different kinds of emotions, which I'd like to see. I don't like seeing Kate as just a cold-blooded killer, because I don't think that she is. I think that this came out from a very emotional place, and I think that she recognizes while he was a shit person, I didn't get to play, God in this situation. I'm not somebody who should be. And I think that tending to Sawyer is trying to help her process her feelings for killing Wayne.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I do think that the saying "I love her" I don't think it was about Kate. I truly think it was him talking about Kate's mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's potentially what that was. But Jack hears it, thinks it's Sawyer talking about Kate, and then Kate kisses him in the jungle and then runs away. And
yeah. And I think Jack, I'm just trying to give somewhat of a logical direction for Jack here, because the way he ends off in this episode is very strange.
Well, also how he interacts with her in the jungle is completely fucked up.
Yeah, he grabs her and then like tries to like hold her, and I like
before that he's going, "What the hell, Kate?" Blah blah blah, and I'm like, don't you think that maybe you should assess how your patient is if you're like a doctor? Like you should have that kind of like, something's not right. Let me listen and take in some contextual clues. But clearly he sucks at bedside manner. We've already known this because he's way too invested or he's whatever. And so he comes up to her and basically he starts kind of just like yelling at her straight up without hearing anything. Doesn't see that she's clearly, there's something wrong. And instead of being like, hey, what's going on? He's like, what's going on? And it's so aggressive. So that then when she has this whole outburst, then he grabs her, which I hate.
That's weird. That's gross.
And he's just like, and then all of a sudden he tries to play like, oh my God, okay, yeah, I'm here from you. Like, what's happening? I'm like, no. That's the energy you start with if you genuinely mean it.
I will counter that. I think he had a right to be angry at the beginning. I don't think he had a right to grab her. Because what he saw when he got back was the button hadn't been pushed and Sawyer had been pushed onto the ground. And like he had already been in a vulnerable state because of his infection. So he's probably like, Kate, I literally left this guy in your care. And like, why is he on the ground like hurt?
Hey, that's a great way that you just asked that. Is that different?
Well, I mean, he has a right to...
What happened?
He has a right to be mad because it looked like Sawyer got attacked.
Look at her and know that she's not right and that something happened. So maybe take a step back from your emotions and go, what's going on?
I think he has a right to be mad here because
I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to be mad. He doesn't have a right to jump down her throat when he doesn't have all the information. That's what he doesn't have a right to do.
But he's not thinking with a clear head. He's thinking, "Oh shit, Sawyer got attacked. Kate, what the fuck? What the fuck did you do?" And then she's sitting in the woods by herself. He's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
She's crying and manic. And so if he takes one look at her, he could realize there's more to this. I need to get to the bottom of it. And I'm not saying he can't be mad. What I'm saying is that he would get more information out of her by saying like, hey, what happened? Like Sawyer's on the ground. The button wasn't pushed. Like I left you in charge of those things, but it doesn't look like you're okay. Like what's going on? Like, that's a very different approach.
Yeah, he would definitely get a better result. That is for damn sure.
And then he just goes and grabs her like it's weird. And then at the end of the episode has the fucking gall to say to Ana Lucia, like, you tell me why it convinced me that not all women are crazy or something like that. And I was like, well, you can fuck all the... He's so misogynistic. Like I genuinely don't understand why people like him as a character. I don't understand it either.
I will go on record and say I am one of the few people, even throughout all the show, for however long Jack's there, if Jack's there at the very end, never liked Jack. Never liked him. He like I always had more interest in like all of the side characters and like the side storylines. And I think like Lost has started recognizing that in season 2 because there's less Jack. We're getting way less Jack in season 2 than we did in season 1 because I think people recognize that like it's not the Jack show. It is like everyone else that's And
I'm fine with that, but it's just like every episode we get another layer of his misogyny. Last week it was, women can't really aim the ball that well, essentially. And I'm just like, what the fuck is up with this guy? Like, this is not really how they presented him in season 1 all the way. And then all of a sudden they just made him into a fucking asshole at the end of season 1, like the second half of it. And now it's just been like, let's make him an asshole and if he's not at 100 and just being angry and yelling at people and not listening to people, which is his MO. That's why I'm saying that like he doesn't have a right to just jump down people's throat. Even if he did have a right in this situation, his tendency that he has still not fixed is to immediately jump emotionally into something and not think about other factors, which is why he's a shit doctor. That's my whole point.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not trying to defend Jack as like a doctor or a leader or anything like that. Like he is... I think if anything, this proves even more that like when Jack gets any form of power, he's a shitty person and it brings out all of his shitty traits. And
he should just be a little plebe on the beach. Like that's what he needs to be.
I want to talk about some things that like one-off fun things that happened in this episode. Okay. I actually really like. There's a lot of. I think this is like the start of the second season 2 arc. Okay. And the reason I say that is because the next episode after this is actually a recap episode, which we're not going to watch. It's called Lost Revelation. It just recaps all of season 1 and then some like what we've seen so far in season 2.
So this was clearly at the very beginning of the second part of the second season that starts in like January or
February. It's like where they take like that a whole month and a half off.
Let me guess. You can tell me I'm wrong here. Let me guess. This was probably a week before the Super Bowl episode.
Probably.
And then they said after the Super Bowl, we're going to advertise Lost like crazy and then hope that week that we get a whole bunch of new fans, essentially.
Yeah. I think that's Lost was very big about that. Like, especially ABC was like, second season was promoting Lost like crazy because they wanted new viewers.
That's how I got sucked into Grey's Anatomy for one season. It was because they, which was also ABC, and they, after the Super Bowl, had season 2, and it was the episode where the guy has a bomb stuck inside of him, and Meredith is like puts her hand in there, and then they're like, no, and then so she has to have her hand inside this guy's abdomen. And then like they get the bomb squad and they like remove it and the guy is walking out and then it explodes in the hallway. Oh, and then I was like, wow, what a show. And then I watched like 3 episodes of it and I was like, wow, this show sucks. And I like never watched it again.
But isn't that crazy that Grey's Anatomy is still on the air? I think it's still on the air. And it started this same year as Lost. Isn't that wild? It started the same year.
I will say this.
Still on television.
I'm not going to shit on the people who enjoy it because I don't believe in shitting on people for things they enjoy. Like, if that gives people joy, great. I don't get it, but I do like some of the scenes that I have seen come out of it. I think that they have a very powerful scene where they had a victim of sexual assault or rape.
Oh yeah, I think.
And then had all the women medical staff line the hallway and like a salute to her. And I love that so much. That's such a powerful thing.
I'm curious, like, not my cup of tea, Grey's Anatomy, but I am very curious if someone has like written something or recorded something about like how much it's aged in terms of writing, because of, I mean, as you can tell, the writing in Lost definitely is aged. Some of it does not hold up, but I'm curious like how much it's changed from back in like 2005, 2004 to now in 2021 for a show that's still on air, which is insane. Another fun thing that I want kind of your thoughts on, Michael discovers that there's blast doors in the hatch. Mm-hmm. Why do you think there's blast doors?
Well, I think that it goes along with what they're talking about is like some kind of incident where things like exploded, right? So I think they built some blast doors as a means of defense in case something that is behind the walls that they have clearly sealed that has a lot of magnetivity or whatever it's called. I can't electromagnetism behind it. Like if that explodes, put the blast door down to try to give yourself some protection. So I think that to me seems like the most logical response.
That makes sense.
With the information that we have. I want to talk a little bit about the video.
Yeah, I want to discuss that.
First of all, you know that Locke had a raging boner this entire episode.
Oh, I'm surprised it didn't hit the table. Like
that table at one point you saw it go.
Yeah. Echo's like, are you okay?
He's like, I've never been better. I find Echo very attractive. I just need to say that.
Oh, he's very cute. The one thing that I wish Echo had was a full beard or just shaved it off because it's like very patchy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So regardless, what we get is a little bit more of the theory I had last week, which is that I thought that Echo and Locke would get on really well. And the moment that Locke fell deeply in love with Echo was the moment he said, don't put all your eggs into coincidence when it could be fate. And you know that Locke literally went.
Oh, wait, I thought he said, oh no, he did say that. I wrote it down wrong in my notes. I thought originally he had said, don't mistake what is coincidence for fate. As if he was saying, don't think it's fate. It could just be a coincidence. I think
no.
that's what I thought Echo was saying.
No, what he was saying was it's not just a coincidence, because clearly you're talking about somebody who very much believes in fate and faith and those kind of things. That's Echo.
Yeah.
And so he was like, don't confuse coincidence for fate. And I could tell that Locke just wanted to slam his back up against the wall and go, I'm yours.
I will say, I looked it up. I was right. He did say, "Don't mistake coincidence for fate." So he's actually the opposite.
So don't mistake coincidence for fate.
Means, yeah, so he's the opposite of Locke. He's saying this is just a coincidence. Don't mistake it for fate. That's what he's saying. That's why Locke gives him that look, because they're kind of cut from the same cloth, but they have very different ideologies. So for Locke is built by faith. He is or fate. He is drawn to it. And Echo is of the mindset of this is a coincidence. Let's get all the information first.
That statement can be taken literally both ways. You can think of it as don't mistake coincidence for fate, which implies you're thinking this is coincidence. It's fate.
You know
what I mean? Like
it doesn't make sense contextually though, based off what Locke says. Like Locke is talking about fate because he's like two different sides of the island, different sides of the
what were the odds?
Yeah,
which comes across as a coincidence, not necessarily fate.
I think
that's
he's like
what he's. The way I was interpreting it was that he was saying,
that makes sense.
How much of a coincidence is this? And that Echo was the one as like a tester to see where Echo lies with like the fate scale. And that
makes sense. Yeah.
That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
But if it's the other way, I mean, whatever. Still,
it could be. I truly don't remember. But the way that I took it was they are cut from the same cloth. But this is not like, but this is not like Locke 2.0. Echo is his own person. He clearly is very faithful. Like he is, he references the story of Josiah from the Bible, and clearly knows what he's talking about when it comes to faith. But I always saw them as like two sides of the same coin, where they kind of are going towards the same path, but they have different ways of getting there.
Yeah. And I think that ultimately the whole point here is that Locke is like, oh my God, somebody else who generally thinks of things in a similar way as me. So there's that. Plus also like he gave me some really interesting information. So
film.
So let's talk about the film. So I remember Echo gets the book out of in the other 48 days or whatever.
Yeah, it was like the arrow station or the arrow hatch thing.
And we saw him pick out a book, and I thought it was the Bible. And we see that there's film in there. And so we get to see the last parts of the film. And it's very interesting because it's just more instruction as to like what would happen and what you shouldn't do with the computer, which I still feel like I'd have to go back and watch. See, this is where I'm like, I wish I had access to go back and watch all of this stuff over and over again, because there's a portion that I'm convinced there was more than two obvious splices in the video. I always thought there were 4.
Yeah, there was no, you're completely correct. There was definitely more splices. And I was kind of confused by that too when I heard Locke say, "Oh, this is the missing splice." And I was like, "Sir, there was more than like one missing
Also, why would it just be that one reel?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that's got to be like a production error. Like maybe but I'm like curious. Maybe
there's other stations that have other splices in them.
There could be. But it is kind of strange that this splice was even taken out in the first place. It seems like a very weird section to cut out of this video. It doesn't really say much. It's just additional instructions on how to use the computer. I think writing wise, they probably added this in as a way to connect Echo and Locke together, but also kind of give more context into the more mystical nature of who this person is that Michael's talking to, because he's like, you definitely should not use these computers in this way. It could lead to another incident. Who knows what'll happen? And almost makes it seem like it's impossible. Like he's like, it's kind of, you could take what he's saying in so many different directions.
Well, what it tells me again is that he said to communicate with the outside world, which tells me that there's no way to communicate with the outside world. So any communication that you're going to get is within the island. So when he says outside world, I don't think he means outside of the hatch. I think he means outside of the island. And that further tells me that the island, once again, like, why would you have a computer that does have, and how could you have all these signals and such? This island can't exist in the same Earth realm plane thing. That is what I got out of this, is like a further thing that's like, you can only communicate with people you didn't know you could communicate with, which are either people on this island or like the dead or something like that, because you're in purgatory. Boom! Mic drop.
All right. So that's an interesting theory. I'm curious how that will develop over time. With the rest of this episode, though, wait, there was a note that I wanted us to talk about. Where is it? Oh, I was very weirded out by how unbothered Kate is by Shannon dying. Like when Kate goes to Shannon's grave, I wasn't sure if she was crying because of Shannon's death or if she was truly crying because she felt she was going crazy.
I think it's more so the latter. I think that she's crying because she thinks she's going crazy. I don't think she has a capacity in this moment to really compound more emotion on top of that. And we do know from very little things that there's like been slight moments where she's interacted with Shannon, but she really hasn't been like all up in Shannon's grill and vice versa. So it's not saying that like she wouldn't have feelings about her dying. Of course she would. But I think that she feels very much like she wanted to take care of Sawyer once again, to manage her own, I killed someone, this is like how I'm paying it forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then that person becomes channeled or possessed or whatever, tries to essentially kill you. You see a horse similar to the one that saved you, like,
if not the exact horse, it seemed, because she said she told Sawyer, I knew this horse, like this is definitely the horse that I knew. And I was just like, that would, I'm sorry, that would make me think I was crazy if I saw something. Because remember, because Sawyer is like at the end of the episode, he's like, do you know that horse? And she's like, I do. Like I knew that horse. As if I
got it as like a sense of like, this like on a spiritual level, like,
it could be. It definitely
I didn't get it as like a, yep, I'm the one who raised it as a foal. Like I'm not thinking that.
I don't think it's what it is.
I thought it was like a symbolism kind of thing.
It could be, but it's just the fact that like she is so attached to this horse that like you really truly think that you know this horse. Like that would freak me out too. I'd be right there like, what the fuck is this doing on this island? So I get it, girl. I feel that.
Also, I'd be trying so hard to make sure that we tame that horse. Could you imagine how nice it would be to go on like rides? Well, maybe I don't want to think of it as just rides. Like,
why didn't they take that horse back? I don't understand.
Because because I can't tell. It's not a figment of an imagination, but it could be, because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that visions and things could be shared among people on this island. Multiple people, Saeed and Shannon see Walt, right?
Yep.
Sawyer and Kate see the horse. So it could be a vision. I think Locke saw Jack's father, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't
remember if he saw him or if he just believes that that's.
I thought someone had seen Jack's dad. I can't remember what the context of that was, but I felt like someone did.
But I just kind of generally feel like these visions are not just visions on this island. Like they're real. Like things that we wouldn't think are real here are real there.
They're like tangible. Yeah. So that was what Kate did. This is actually probably one of the more popular episodes of Lost.
The one last thing that we didn't talk about is
Yeah.
Saeed at the funeral.
True.
For Shannon.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's like his first time really saying that he loved her.
Yeah.
And like regretting that he didn't really tell her, like he did, but he didn't. He was like, we're going to spend all of our life. I'm never going to leave you.
Yeah.
And I think he did tell her that he loved her, but like, I think he wanted to be able to profess it to other people. And like, considering that's the situation in which he does it, it's like, I don't know. The whole funeral felt really weird to me. It's like they all knew what a piece of shit she was, and they were like
glossed over it very fast.
Also, where's the fucking dog? Where's Vincent?
Vincent said, "Fuck Shannon, I don't want to be here.
Bye." Also, if I'm Michael, I'm watching my back because first Walt, then Shannon.
It's true. It's true.
Whoever gets the dog next, you're done.
All right. Well, that was what Kate did. This is like I said earlier, this is like one of the more popular episodes of Lost. I don't know why. Something about this episode just gets referenced, not in the show, but people like outside of the show always reference this episode.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I think it's just I do wonder if it is because it was the last episode during that break. And so maybe it was just fresh in people's mind. People refer to it a lot. But who's your MVP and LVP for this episode?
Oh, yeah. Good call. My MVP is going to be Echo.
Yeah.
Because I think that Echo has a little bit more of a level head than Locke does. I think that he's quiet because he's gathering information about people and building trust, but he's also incredibly intelligent. He's the one that comes in the film, and there's all of that. So he's my MVP. My LVP, I can't give it to Kate because she's going through something.
Yeah, she's going through it, yeah.
So I'm going to give it to Jack.
Yeah, fuck Jack.
Buddy, bye.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
I really dislike him.
You
know what? I manifested Shannon dying, so
let's manifest it. Jack, you gotta go, bitch.
It might happen midway through next season, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if y'all saw this or not, but on the Hot Mess Moments account, I did share a clip from our finale recap of season 1 where we did have Tyler Lyons on. Yes. And Tyler said, Beth, I'm really interested. Where do you think that Shannon's character arc is growing? Where do you think Shannon's going in season 2? And I said, hopefully the grave. And just saying, it aged perfectly like a fine wine.
Manifested. If there's one thing you could manifest in this entire show, what do you want it to be? But in season 2, one thing you want to manifest right now, besides Jack dying.
I actually don't want Jack to die.
Okay.
I just want him to get better. Like, I want someone to put him in his place so that he understands that he has so many issues to work through and that it's not other people's fault.
Yeah.
And that if he could, because they need him. He's a doctor. He does mean well. It's just, if he could learn to chill the fuck out, respect other people, and not be such a fucking misogynist, then like I would be fine with him. I wouldn't even care if he got angry from time to time, and if those things were occasional slip ups. But I just honestly, it's gotten so overbearing that I can't even I can't. Every time he's on screen, I'm like, oh God, what's he gonna say now?
You're like, oh shit.
So if I can manifest anything, it's make Jack bearable again.
Make Jack great again? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah. All right. The next episode is called The 23rd Psalm. What do you think it's about, and who do you think it's about?
Oh, well, I'm assuming Psalm is in like the Bible verse.
The Bible verse, yeah.
So if it's a Bible verse, it tells me, I think it might be an Echo-based episode. And because we know that he's very faithful. And I think here you're going to learn a little bit more. If it's an Echo-based episode, I think it will be more about him and Locke and the film and Michael with Walt, and like maybe Echo steps in to talk to Michael about faith and all that kind of stuff. I think that could be the context there.
It is an arts-centric episode.
The one who died?
I just wanted to see your face. No, it's an Echo-centric episode.
Was I right?
Yeah. You're like the one who died?
Art. I was like, the idiot with the dynamite from season 1?
Yeah. It's actually a Boone-centric episode. Honestly, that'd be wild if they did like an entire, for some reason, centric episode of a dead character.
It'd be so great, but it's like... Could you imagine? You get the flashbacks or whatever.
Yeah.
But the background is just darkness and hearing people fading, talking in the background of things because you're buried under the ground.
You're buried under the ground. It's so fucked, Beth.
you hear Saeed being like,
"Hey, what's up?"
I really miss Shannon. She was one of my. I fell in love with her.
Kate's like, I saw a black horse.
And Charlie's like, I wonder if I should do some drugs right now.
This Virgin Mary statue.
Oh,
well,
God.
That was season 2, episode 9, What Kate Did. If you are new here, make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Helps out tremendously, or whatever review you would like to give us. We take constructive criticism. Don't you worry, baby. And make sure to also hit that sub button on YouTube. That also helps us out tremendously. And make sure to follow us on Twitter.
Our sub.
Become our sub. Yeah. And then also follow us on Twitter at Hot Mess Moments. We're almost up to, I think, like 90 followers on Twitter.
We have 104 as of today.
On Twitter? Mm-hmm. No, I'm thinking of YouTube then. We're getting up to almost like 80, 90 subs on YouTube, which is great for us.
Yes. And if you know people who love Lost and The Nanny, tell them to check us out. People need to cook meals and drive places and sit on the subway and such. Why not listen to us be an idiot for a while? And by an idiot, I mean multiple idiots, because there's 2 of us.
And honestly, the best part is each of our episodes is only about like an hour long. So it's perfect for like a really long drive back to and from work. Check us out.
We are NSFW, as you can tell by the amount of times I said fuck tonight, which I would love to get a counter on that.
Oh God. I'm surprised that we're not canceled on YouTube, because YouTube algorithm hates when you cuss.
It's true.
It's true. So true. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will be back here on next Thursday with our next Lost recap. We're also going to be doing another Nanny recap on Tuesday, so make sure to tune in, snuggle up, and we'll see you next week. Until then, lovely babe.
Lovely babe. Lovely. Have a lovely evening.
Have a lovely evening, and
love you.
Love you
too. All.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Doses.